Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight high up here, the overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. I started trading right here at 8 Central Time. So starting off, we had this downtrend in play. The EMA is going along with it very well. It's a pretty clear downtrend. So it's not surprising we held very well this third time right after 8. And so there's no reason to take this lower high right here. It's right into that low, unfortunately. So there's really no reason to take it. But anyway, we push on out of there anyway. We break the overnight low, and when you push out of the overnight low, you can expect prices to attempt to fade. And so that's what we start doing. We start fading. Of course, there's no entry here. We're not off of any kind of support. You're right into this trend line right here anyway. But as we start fading, you also break this downtrend. And so at this point here, the bears, they want to see a new low for this downtrend, but the bulls, they want to continue fading this overnight range. And so this is basically like a competition area kind of. The bulls want to fade, the bears want to make a new low for the downtrend. So it's not surprising we got all this chop right here. Chop is often just, bears and bulls fighting. Excuse me. It's just bears and bulls fighting each other. And so, there's clearly bulls trying to make a new low here, but we do eventually fade up. Now, unfortunately, I don't see any good entries in here. So after we have this first push to a new low, some may try to trick themselves into going long there by saying, like downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower. But really, on a big picture, this is just downtrend, break, and then one leg at a new low, not off of any kind of support or anything. It's right into that EMA. The EMA is down. Really no reason to take that trade, and you do see it work out. It doesn't mean this, if you get a setup exactly like this, it doesn't mean it's going to work out next time. But when we retest this overnight low right here, when you retest a major level like this, like an overnight level, you want to see two attempts, because the market moves in twos. You don't want to just enter long right after a first entry bouncing off this overnight low. You want to see a two legs back, a second entry. It's just too important of a level to be okay with entering after one leg back, especially into the EMA, and by the time it closes above the EMA here, you have no room. But anyway, we push on up here, and notice how you see how we have this leg up, break, and then second leg up. This is basically perfectly measured right to this like chop. Of course, it pushes through, but notice how, which I should probably draw this out really quick just to show a visual. Notice how we have this, once we push up there, you can draw out this measure move. And it took a while to get through this resistance area, but as soon as we did get out of this resistance area, we rocketed up to the measured move, and then it started getting choppy afterward. So, of course it didn't reverse right at this measured move. Not every measured move is going to have a reversal at it. But my point is, these measured moves are important levels. As soon as it broke the resistance, it rocketed up and then only found resistance again at this measured move. So I just want to point that out. These measured moves are very important levels. And so, like I say, price action levels get bigger as more time goes on. And so when you have two legs back like this, breaking out of this downtrend, at first, like I said, they're going to be looking for a new low on some smaller entries down here. But now, this is like a two-legged break. You have the downtrend, two-legged break, and then you could look to make a bigger picture attempt at a new low. And so the point I'm getting to with that is after we push higher here, we rush below the EMA. You can kind of see those two legs back, but it's really just one leg on a bigger picture. And the way I'm viewing this is basically after two legs higher, there's still going to be bears that want to make a new low for this on this two-legged break. And so when it rushes below the EMA like that, that is way too indicative of a reversal back down to enter long. So even though we close back above, there's unfortunately no reason to enter long. Now there's no room to the high here, but even if there was room on this, say we had a good signal bar closing further down, it's still not good. Two legs up, immediately rush below the EMA, pretty strong rush below. It took a bit at first, but then it just plummeted. This is too likely for a reversal. What I would want to see is a rush above and then a hold above, like a clear swing holding on to the EMA before I can go long on that. It's just too risky, but anyway, we do push on up here. We get this correction. We don't reach the EMA on it, so of course nothing. We push up again, we get choppy, we push up again, and then we get this first entry long, and then we kind of chop around before getting a second leg down. You can kind of see that there's 2 legs down in there. Of course, on a big picture, you can tell that's just 1 leg down. Now, I don't like going long here for a couple reasons. So first off, the first thing I want to mention is, so with these 2 legs up right here, eventually you can kind of see that it kind of just goes sideways and it turns into a bigger leg and then a second one. Notice how those are measured. So let me get those exact really quick because I remember in the moment they were like perfect. So notice how it's nearly to the tick with the bodies, the wicks go higher, but it's nearly to the tick. So back to right here, the reason I don't like this long. So not only is it blocked by this downtrend line, it also has this big picture measured move that was just met, and it immediately reversed after it. These legs are basically perfectly measured, and it just reversed to the tick, nearly to the tick. Not to mention the overshoot of this channel right here. Overshoots lead to breaks. So when you have an overshoot and then a measured move met, and then a trend line blocking your entry, there's definitely no way that you can safely go long right there. There are just so many things working against it. But in this particular case, it really does just rocket on higher. But that is certainly not a good looking entry by any means. But anyways, we push on up here. We make this double top. We get this first entry long and second entry long pushing out of this channel right here. And we also end up pushing lower, breaking out of this range because it's clear we had this range. We had that double bottom right there and the double top combined, clearly a range. EMA straight in the middle there. So anyway, now I want to talk about this. I missed this trade because I just wasn't paying attention. It was right after, it was right around when I was doing a post. So I wasn't really focusing, paying attention that much. But you can see right here, we broke out. We had a couple attempts, at fading this range right here, and we ended up just retesting it like a 2-legged breakout pullback. And so once again, double top, that is a topping pattern, and it's a more significant double top than this double bottom because one of these double bottoms is not a very significant swing. These are both very significant swings, so it's not surprising we managed to push through those lows and then get a 2-legged breakout pullback. And so you would need a limit order on this trade to enter safely. And I can't confirm if you would have been filled on the limit order because, like I said, I was distracted in this area here. I wasn't really paying attention. But like I said, you have 2 attempts to fade. It's rejecting it. It's below the EMA. If you can get in with a limit order, you'd have room to get out before the lows of this structure right here, this little range. And so I do like that. I wish I managed to try to get in. Once again, like I said, I don't know if it ticked higher first and then went down or what the deal is. So I can't confirm if you would have been filled on that or not. But anyway, we do push on lower here. And then, like I was saying, with these legs getting bigger as more time goes on, eventually those 2 legs become 1 leg on a bigger picture. And then, like as you can see right here, I'm just going to delete that and then copy this one back over to here. So anyway, once we push down here, which I meant to do that in a sec actually because I still have to go through some more price action down here, but anyway, we push lower here, we get this first entry off of this trend line. It is the 3rd bounce, but it's just 1 leg up. It's in this trend line, and for anyone who's new, I see this tick lower right there, so I can see that to the tick you have a second entry short, first entry short, second entry short. But to me, this is just 1 leg. I don't care about ticks lower. I care about structure breaks, bigger picture entries. So as far as I'm concerned, I just see a leg up right there. And then, that's just a first entry. But we do push lower here. And then we hold on this swing right here, and it starts forming this range. We have these highs, these lows. It's pretty clear we're going in this range right here. Now, when you break this trend and you have this attempt at a new low, this is a very small picture. Now, I want to mention price action levels get bigger as more time goes on, like I always say. And it is valid to think of this as a break and then an attempt at a new low. But you must understand that as more price action forms, this is really just part of that same downtrend. Once we really push higher here and get a good gap, that is the actual break. So the way that I view this here is downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, and this is an area that I was looking for a long. Now, even though it's choppy, you can still tell what's going on. Like I said, downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower. This right here would be a great place to look for a long, but unfortunately we didn't get any good signal bars above the EMA that had any room. By the time we got a good signal bar here, which by the way, if this had closed above the EMA, I would have liked that. I would have liked it if it was a little bit less choppy, but considering the, these couple attempts lower and it's clear what's going on, if you can see it, I would have liked to ride that to the other side. But by the time we got a signal bar closing above the EMA, there's no room to the other side, So you just can't risk that. These highs are too consistent. It could easily just bounce right off of them. Like I said, unfortunately, no room. And we push on up here, and then we get a couple corrections. We reach the EMA on this one. Now, it's getting a little bit choppy here and cluttered up, so I'm going to, I don't know why there's two of those arrows there. I guess I just left the other one on accident. But, so we have this measure move in play. Now, once we push out of this range right here, it's very clear that we have this second leg up. Hold on, let me just recopy this to be sure. So once we start pushing up right here out of this range, it's very clear that we're getting this second major leg up. Now, we reach this previous range. We got this small breakout pullback on it, but I extended it to show it was clearly reacting off this level again, and we rushed below the EMA. Now, the way that I viewed this was, we started forming this second leg. Once we pushed out, we have the measured move drawn out. I really view it as this leg is the first attempt at reaching the measured move, and so I didn't want to enter after just that first attempt, and so I waited after this second attempt. And so you can see right here we have the uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, and then I entered on that failure right there. And I had room to this trend line. I did 1 to 1. It was a 1.4 RR, so 18 ticks. I knew I could do better than 1 to 1. I had room to that trend line, so I extended the target a little bit. But about this area here, you see how there's this small uptrend break, a couple legs at a new high, and I can see that. But once again, on a big picture, this is just a leg up right here. So uptrend break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, failure. Now, even though this leg is not as big as this first leg up here, and it's not measured, it's only about close to halfway through the measure. It's clearly connected is the point. It's clear that you have on a big picture uptrend break, it's clear that this is the first attempt higher, and so it's also to me pretty clear that this is the second attempt higher. Uptrend break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher. So these price action levels, they do get bigger as more time goes on. Like, for example, some may view it as uptrend break and then first attempt higher, second attempt higher. And technically, that's technically valid, but price action levels, they get larger as more bars form. And so eventually those two attempts higher, as it fails, it's continuing to make this larger break. So now it's just uptrend, break, everything in here, and then first attempt higher, and then second attempt higher right there. So I hope this is clear, these bigger picture structures. Like if you were to, sometimes it's easier to see bigger picture structures if you pull up a higher time frame chart. So like this is a 2,000 tick chart. Like pull up like a 7,000 tick chart, and this will look more like it'll look more easier. Like kind of like how I'm all zoomed in. I see a few bars. It'll basically look like that for the whole day if you pull up a bigger chart, and so it can be easier to see it. If you pull up a chart like that. I don't really do that anymore because you just get used to it. But if you're new to bigger picture stuff, I'd recommend maybe using a larger time frame chart just to just to compare it just at first at least. But anyway, so I took that right there. We pushed lower here. I pushed that target as far as I could. I didn't want to push it through this trend line, so I kept it within, but we did end up pushing through a little bit. We started getting choppy right here. We attempted to push higher. We pushed back lower. We formed this double bottom right there, and then it looked like there could have been some kind of range forming, but it ended up pushing way out of that, and then we formed this triple test right here. Now you can see here that with this down leg right here, and then you have this push up and then the second leg, they clearly do look connected to one another. But I wouldn't want to enter into that EMA at this point right here. Also, it's just like into this trend line, and then if you adjust it, when you adjust the trend line too many times as it keeps going sideways, eventually I just stop adjusting it. But it's just kind of, right after a very sharp move down into the EMA, it was kind of sideways. I don't really like this trade right here. Notice how, remember when I took this right here, I was viewing it as a failure. There's one important thing I want to mention. So after we push down right here, you can tell, like I was talking about, as more price action forms, you get bigger picture structures. So now I can see it as uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, failure. So not only was this triple test, right after a sharp move down, it was also right after a failure, which is likely why it was such a sharp move down, because it was a failure. And so now that I have the this measured move put down to here, which I understand this can be very confusing if you're new to the big picture stuff, but once again, I'll go over it one more time. Uptrend, break, which let me delete some things just to like make this chart cleaner, because this is stressing me out with how much stuff is drawn. Uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, failure. Much clearer with that second leg. It's a lot longer. And then notice how once I put the measured move to that level, look at what's happening. We are getting a reaction directly off that measured move. So, like I say, these measure moves are very important levels. I'm actually glad this chart lesson is happening like this, so I can kind of show this in real time. And so, anyway, like I said, right after a failure, I don't like that. But we do end up pushing higher here. We get this higher low without a good signal bar, and then by the time you get this right here, it's right into the, it's right into that. You don't want to do that. We push up, and now we're reaching that measured move, and we are immediately pushing back down after reaching it. So, this was I just want to make it clear about, price action levels getting larger as more time goes on. Price action structures, just learning to see them get bigger in real time, because like I said, at first you have uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, failure. Eventually that turns into uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, failure, and eventually, clearly, you can see here it turns into uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, failure, and then it failed, but it is still reacting off that measured move pretty well. So anyway, it could end up blasting on through because it did fail right there, so I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up, going through, but it is still giving that reaction. But anyway, that's really going to do it for this video. I really hope it helped out. I enjoyed making it, and yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.